Hello everybody and welcome to another Zwift analysis video. So last week I analysed Ben Zwift Team Ineos World Tour Riders race here on the Crit City race. And I thought, I'll put my money where my mouth is, I'll race it this week and I'll see how I compare to Ben. Now granted, he's a World Tour rider, he races in the A group so he should, and I'm in the B group here. This whole new system that Zwift have got, the whole anti-sandbagging system, I thought I'd drop back to the Bs. So I've been getting dropped a lot in the As. Drop back to Bs and let Zwift tell me when I need to move out of the Bs. A bit like in the real world, British cycling, you accumulate a certain amount of points and then you go from a third cat to a second cat, second to first, first to elite. So I thought, get back in here. If I have a good result, I have a good result. Awesome. And if I don't, then I am in the right group. I'm a B rider. So 30 seconds to go. It's the ZHQ Zwift Headquarters Beta City Crit City race. 101 riders in, 12 laps. Downtown Dolphin is the route. And just using a bit of new software here so everyone can tell that right there is me. 10 seconds to go. Zero warm-up on this race, so I'm coming into this knowing, one, it's going to be a hard race from the start, and two, I am bloody warmed up. But here we go. Got the head start, got the whole shot, knocking out, thank you for the subscription, knocking out nearly 500 watts. And the thing with the B race is, you know it's going to go hard from the start. I don't know why this is. I don't know if it's we're trying to measure egos instantly, or there's too many real A riders in this and they try and rip it apart straight away. But a B race's start compared to an A race start is just night and day. So as you can see there, I got off to a decent start, still punching out like 400 watts, and I'm going backwards. I'm at 5.5 watts a kilo. I'm going backwards. Just in case you didn't know, that's me right there. Okay, I like that little thing. So this course is pretty simple. There's not much to it. Tiny little drags here and there, but on the whole, it's a flat course. You'd class this as a flat course, nothing more than a flat course. I believe I'm just sticking my graph on there so people can actually get an idea of what's happening. So with this, I've got the ability to pause it, and you can see up here is the map, and you can see already I'm probably a quarter of the way down the pack already, 30th place, and the line of riders is just, well, it goes back to that corner that we've just been through. So the main talking points of this course really is the part where we're going to go around as we go around this right-hander, which is the only real climb on this, and even then it's not really a climb. So right now, out of the saddle, I know that if I get out of saddle, just punch out a couple of 500 watts efforts here, then I'm going to be back up near the front, hopefully. Up to 6% gradient up there, turns around this right, stays on the gradient up until at some point, then it goes negative again. But even on the 0%, right up there on the flat, still got to push because it just stretches out that line. And you can see people are still coming over the KOM. Some people are still actually on the climb. This is a brutal start. I'm kind of looking at myself now and I realise that I'm making it look easier, but I remember at this point I was thinking, why didn't you warm up? And then this part here, this is the only real other point. You've got to keep your concentration. You've got to keep your focus through these undulations here. It just goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And if you've got a bit of trainer difficulty on, you shouldn't have any problems getting up and over those. With zero trainer difficulty on, you could potentially lose the wheel there because a lot of people with that difficulty will start pressing as that gradient goes up. And as it comes back down again, it'll ease off. But on those up bits, they'll be pushing out a few more watts, which will force them to the front. So if you've got no trainer difficulty on, you really have to maintain a decent high level of wattages through there. So 11 laps to go. The story of this race is the rubbish bonuses that I get on this. I think I only got 1 or 2 feathers and 2 arrows, I think. It was an abomination when it came down to bonuses. It really pissed me off. But as you can see, just behind me is the graph, and it's only just really starting to get parts of green on it. If you just look down here, you can see my graph there. Obviously red over here, and then we've got bits of green, bit of red, bit of yellow. But essentially, the more green, the more blue we see on that, the better it is for me, because I'm in that point recovering. And right here you can see the first green cone that I've ever come across within a race. We saw a couple in Swifties last week, which is strange because it was an A group race, but with this one, bang, we've seen the first, cheers Dan versus film, we've seen the first cone. So at this point, I'm not too sure what's happening, but the chat eventually explained to me that this guy will now slow up. It took him a while to slow up, but eventually these people that got coned would slow up and get kicked out the back. So Zwift would restrict their power so they couldn't force themselves to the front. I think that's a good thing. And there we go with the second one. So you can see just here we've now got two cones, and they aren't going to be the last ones. They are not going to be the last ones. So we'll just fast it on a little bit now because it's, oops, wrong way. All right, so we've moved further into the race now. Almost 8 minutes into the race, two things have happened. First up, what the bloody hell is that? Another undraftable. I don't want to see that. And also, I've taken my hat off. Things are starting to get serious. Look at this heart rate up here. 172, 170. It just keeps going up. I think this is one of the longest races it's ever maintained such a high level on my my heart rate. It just never seemed to dip. On those longer races, you tend to get it, you know, when the pace eases up, I can get it down into the 160s. But here it just would not settle anywhere below 170, 175. Majority of the time up near 179 and 180. And you can see right here, I'm taking it relatively easy. I'm not really pushing. There's not many bits of red. There's just these few spikes here where I've obviously been climbing. But all in all, I should be getting a bit of rest here. Wattage is down as well, you can see up here. We're down to like mid 200s, so getting a little bit of recovery. Trying to surf those wheels really here. Trying not to exert too much energy. And already I'm trying to pick up on who's hitting those power-ups early on that climb. Like I've said in past videos, the later you can hold a power-up on a climb or in a sprint, the fresher you will appear to be to other people. So I know that if someone hits that power up right at the bottom, they're needing all the help they can get to the top there. Whereas if you can just save it till halfway, then hit it, you've got a much easier ride as long as you're not getting dropped. Now the pace is hard here. We can see it's at 181 now, and I'm worried slightly that I'm not going to make it at this point. The group has whittled itself down to, look, that's the group. I'm pretty much in last wheel here in 26th place. So, and that's another thing you've got to keep in mind when you're racing. Just keep an eye on at what point that group breaks of using that map, and then remember, because you might think at one point there's 50 riders in this, then all of a sudden before you know it, you've lost half the field, and at 26th position you still think you're halfway in the peloton, so you're fine, and you can just maybe lose a wheel a little bit. But you know a couple of riders are going to come round and tow you back up. But before you know it, you're at the back of the pack and that's it. And then 2 bike lengths back and you've gone. So you've really got to concentrate on exactly who is behind you. That is a right touch. And at this point, I think that's 8 to go. I think it was 8 or 7 to go. People hitting their power-ups now. So this guy here, right, who's just hit that, you know he's needing all the help they can get. He's only just received that draft ability, and bang, he's hit it because he wants to try and relieve some of the pressure and tension in his legs. I've got an aero here now. The majority of times you want to save an aero to the end, but with this race, it's an 8-lap race. I get potentially another 6 or 7 opportunities to get another aero. So at this point, I'm thinking I'll use this aero on the hill. This guy here, look. This guy here's used a feather. Like, just wait, mate. I mean, it beggars belief. What's the point in using it there? What advantage are you going to get? Look, runs out before it even hits the hill. So just keep an eye on this guy here for a second, just to see. Where is he? There. Keep following him. Keep following him. Keep following him. So he comes up. I've used my aero. So he's clearly working harder than me to get up that hill when he could have had an easier trip. He could have saved that featherweight on the flat, used it on the hill, not have had to have exerted as much energy. And as you can see here, look now. Already it's starting to drag out. And this point here is where it looks like it may split. I don't know if you noticed that, but zips come down. Things are getting very serious, as Celine Dion once said. Alright, so further into the race, 21, coming up for 22 minutes. We're heading up for the climb. I somehow managed to get a feather, which is great. Look, bang, I've hit it straight away because I know I need all the help I can get. Everyone else is hitting theirs now, and things are starting to get grippy, and I'm just worried that if I don't make it up this time with the front, maybe 10, that things could happen. Again, we've just got to be aware of back markers here. I think one of them might be going off the front, and I'm sure somebody got coned around here. I'm sure they did. But you can see here how quickly it stretches out. There you go. Boom. He got coned. This guy just here. So that's another conage. And that guy's going to now be out the back. But you can see what's happened because of that guy that went off the front who then got coned. It's all stretched out. And there's people just dropping off the back up there, you can see now. So there's also a gap appeared between me and the first 5, I think, 4 or 5. So I put a big effort in there, 500 watts, just to bridge that gap, and then someone else comes around me, and I feel pretty safe that we're all gonna come back together. It's not gonna go out that gap. It's not gonna get any bigger, and I'm pretty. It's a small gamble that, because if that guy had not come over me, quite easily those 4 could have got away. Such was the pace, but thankfully, all together still. But again, now, remember when I was at the back of the pack and it was 26th place? I'm now 12th, 13th, and there's only a few wheels behind me. Down to 3 laps to go. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, if I get an aero, I'll save it. But surprise, surprise, I've got stupid ghost. And just let me pause it here, right? This guy, see this guy here? Let me get rid of that. See this guy here, right? Around about here, he's got the most unbearable stitch. Now, I know why I get it. 1, I didn't warm up properly, and 2, I always mix too much, whatever my drink is, too much drink, and I make it just a bit too strong. And 1 or 2 sips is fine, but then once I start dehydrating and I start drinking more, I end up getting stitch. And yeah, it's right here where it just kills. It absolutely batters. So I'm trying to. My legs feel all right at this point. Legs feel fine. I mean, they're tired, but they feel all right. But it's that stitch that I'm thinking, right, if I can't get this under control, I'm in big trouble here. Massive trouble. Massive. But stream's watching. Got to perform, Anna. So I'm just going to grin and bear it. But I'm struggling here. Look, 185 on the flat piece of road here. So we are at any point I can go out the back here. Just a small increase in pace on these flat bits. When I don't want it, I could easily be out the back. I'm doing everything I can to save as much energy as I can here. And try and lower the wattage as much as possible to try and just free those legs up. Just get rid of that lactic acid and just try and get them working again, because they're struggling. You can see them. Yeah, I'm struggling. So we're coming up the hill and I don't have a power up. So I know I've got to get out the saddle, push a few watts out and really dig in. Really dig in here, because this could be the end of the race if not. There's 3 laps to go. Anyone who's not a sprinter could be thinking now, I mean, this and potentially the next lap are the moments you think that somebody is going to go for a long one. If they're still there on the last lap, they're not going to go for a long one there. Everyone's going to come back together. I'm pretty sure of that. So if a long one's going to go, it's going to go here or the next lap. So I've got that in my mind here, even though I'm at 185. Jesus Christ! You can see again, it stretches out every time. All right, let's pick the race back up here. This should be the last lap. Somebody else has got coned. Last lap, 1 lap to go. The white flag is bloody out. I've still got my aero. things just haven't eased up. Look at this up here, 187. It's rare that my heart rate is up there, and if it is, it's only there for a split second. But here, I just couldn't get it down. Trying to spin those legs as much as power through as well with that cadence. You can see that cadence was pretty high all the way through this race. We've got another conage here. I'm sure potentially I saw 10 people get coned in this race. 1.6k to go. Expecting it to come down to a sprint now. The only thing that's going to stop it coming down to a sprint for me is how hard people go up that climb. Now that climb isn't necessarily that long, but it could take me a while after the climb to actually get back on terms with the guys that went off. So I know from about, I mean it's been hard, but I know from about the right-hander, just before you go up the climb, that's it. It's going to be pretty much flat out there, and I have to commit from the bottom there to my effort. I can't think I need to save a little bit for my sprint. I need to just go with everything. And you can see here we're up to 400 watts, nearly 500 watts. Guy uses an aero, so bang, you can discount that guy straight away because you think if he's wasting an aero here, he's not going to have anything in the sprint. He just wants to try and get as far as he can up the road. And then now we've got it. Another one's been coned. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm in 8th place. That's not right. EF. Keep an eye on EF. He's that. Oh, brilliant. He's that guy. Brilliant. He's that guy there. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, so let's pause here before we get to the undulations. Someone's wasted a feather. Two people have wasted arrows. You've got this guy trying to go off the front who could be EF. No, because EF was on a Tron bike, so that's not EF. But this guy's going for a long one, 600 meters to go. One thing you've got to bear in mind on this course is you have to start sprinting prior to the hairpin. But pretty much lined out. I still feel relatively comfortable in this. I mean, I'm at I'm at 191 heart rate, so it's high, and it's only going to go up from there, I guess. And you've got to really work now. You've got to push. You've got to commit. And I'm thinking there's nothing I can do to try and save anything. I've got to go. Look, I'm at above. I drop it down to 200 there, but that's rare. 600. I like to take my sprint from about 300 upward, below 300. But there, we're starting the sprint at 600, and then we're coming round them all. Coming round them all. This guy here, bang, EF. Watch him. At this moment here, I think I've got it. I've got enough aero boost. I've got enough distance. I should have this if I do one thing. If I carry on pedalling. That's all I've got to do. Just carry on pedalling, Pritch. You've done all the hard work now. Less than 100 meters to go. Just keep pedaling. And for some reason I stopped right there. And granted, I was tired. I was absolutely blown out my arse. My max heart rate is 193. But there, 194, you see. So you know how hard I was working. According to that, as I came over the line, it said 4th. The result I was given here was 3rd. But then that was increased again to 2nd behind EF as the first person had got DQ'd. Alright, so we're going to watch this sprint again one final time in half speed. So you can see, hit the aero pretty early enough, hit some big watts. I think I got up to about 1300 in that. EF was coming in hot. Now, let's just stop it there for 1 second. What do you notice the difference is between these two riders? What does this rider normally ride on? I'll tell you what it's not. Specialized Roubaix S-Works. That is the shittest bike you can get on Zwift. It's the most expensive for what you get for your money. It's ridiculous. It's only like 2-star aero and 3-star weight, something stupid like that. I did not even realise I was on this bike. The only reason I was is because I was doing some testing on Zwift on different bikes and forgot to put the concept bike on. So had I been on this and not that, I don't think this would have been an issue. I think I could have stopped pedaling now. I would be about, where would I be? Probably, let's say, about here on the road now. And this guy would be going I'm dying. Trying to keep up with me, so. Schoolboy error. One thing to take away from this one this week is always make sure you get the right bike for the right race. And clearly the Roubaix S-Works is not the right bike, but I still put in a decent performance. I'm happy with that. I'm happy. And if I'd have just carried on pedaling, I probably still would have just got him. So, pretty happy with that actually. Better than Ben Swift's effort, that's for sure. Thanks for watching everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a massive thumbs up. If you disliked the video for whatever reason, then hit that dislike button. But above all, make sure you hit that subscription button and that notification bell so you know when we go live with our next videos. Thanks for watching this analysis on another Zwift race. Boosh!